Welcome to day 3. Are you ready to find time in your schedule? Because I know a lot of you, that was your biggest concern, right? I just don't have time. I feel so overwhelmed. Are you ready to free up that time a little bit? And I told you it's going to be a little challenging. And I sent you a stop doing this checklist. And so I'm going to hit hard first, and then we're going to get a little easy because usually when people are asked good news or bad news, people want the bad news first, right? So here is the harder thing to do first. Now, if you opened up the stop doing this checklist, good for you. Maybe you got overwhelmed by it though. I'm not sure what your reaction was. I'd love to hear what your reaction was. So drop that if you had a certain reaction to it. But let's just walk through it. I'm not going to go through every single thing, but I'm going to walk you through a few. Okay? Because mamas, there are so many things that we are doing, that you are doing, that you don't have to do. It is not on you. I know you mean well and you are trying to do the best thing you think at that time is the best. But it might actually not be the best thing, and it's okay to ask for help. Recognizing the need for help and being able to ask for help is a huge thing that we as moms need to deal with. So let's, with that in mind, dive into the stop doing this checklist, okay? Because the first thing I put there is doing everything. Who does everything? Either because you think you're the fastest, you think you're being nice and you're helping, you think you're better at how you do something. Whatever the reason, stop. Stop. I want you to step back because you doing everything, whether it's cleaning, cooking, I don't know, preparing backpacks, uh, putting your kids' shoes on. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that everything is, but you're not letting other people step up and learn or recognize the things that need to get done or the skills to get them done or to plan to get things done. You need to let people step up and help. Maybe you need to list the things that you do and pick one thing. Start with one thing that you can let someone else do instead. But get this, you have to be okay that they're going to do it differently because they are. They absolutely are. And you have to let that go. So on this list, I'm not telling you to do everything today. I am telling you to pick one of those boxes to do today, to take action on. Okay. One of those checklist boxes. And if there's something else that this makes you think of and you're like, I want to do this instead, Amy, that's fine. I want to hear what that is because then maybe I'll add it to my list. Maybe it's amazing and something that I didn't think of. That's the beauty of community, right? People bring up different things. And so for the do everything, I just want you to pick one thing. So one definite thing that I had to let go of was my husband and I have very different ways of cleaning up after cooking. So this kind of goes into cooking the meals thing too. But when I cook, I like to clean as I go so that at the end, it's not this overwhelming, huge thing, pile of pots and pans and plates and cutting boards and whatever. When I have the moments, I like to clean as I go, right? Because you're sauteing and you have some time. So I clean a dish, whatever, put it in the dishwasher. My husband is the opposite. He has a whole mess of stuff and he'd rather just clean it up after, but it's also not right after. It is, he likes to take a break and come back to it later, right? So after dinner, there's still a huge amount of stuff there and I just have to let it go because he will do it. It's just not on the timing that I would. And I have to be okay with that. I had to let that go. I had to look away. And so maybe a lot of you resonate with that, where you and your spouse just have very different methods of doing things. Neither one of you are wrong. It gets done. If someone else has said they're going to do it, let it go. Let them do it. The second thing on that list is stop nagging. Oh my goodness, how many of us nag and nag and nag? Maybe it's homework. Did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? Why aren't you doing your homework? Or laundry, right? Are you going to clean that up? Are you going to fold your laundry? Did you put it away? Cleaning the room. How many of your kids have a whole mess of stuff all over the floor and you have to keep asking them to clean the room, pick up the floor, all of that? Whatever it is that you are reminding your kids to do 100 times, stop. This is my challenge to you. Ask them if they have a plan. Offer it if they help if you need it. And then check in. Otherwise, let it be. And you might have heard this on the summit because Ned Johnson had spoken about this and this whole nagging thing. We have to stop. We have to let them learn. We have to let them know how to plan and be okay with that. We need to be consultants. It's hard. I never said anything on this list was easy. It is absolutely not, but you will find that you gain back so much time for your me time or your whatever else time when you're not doing all the laundry, when you're not doing all the cooking, when you're not doing all the cleaning because nobody else is picking stuff off the floor. And when you stop telling people 100 times, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? And the stress when you're thinking about that, like, oh, why don't they want to do it? Why don't they want to do it? Guys, how much time do we waste on just these first two things that we have talked about? I want you to see where our focus, where our time gets sucked away by things that we don't need to focus on. Another thing is jumping in for every single conflict. Let the kids work it out. If there's not physical injury, if there's not blood, if there's not all this stuff, if it's not getting out of control, keep out of it. Let them work it out. They'll figure it out. I don't know how many times they've come to me and I said, work it out. You guys know how to find a solution. I know it feels like it's easier to just nip it in the bud. Like we can sense when something is going to escalate, right? We can sense when there is going to be some sort of issue. But stop nipping it in the bud because then they don't figure out how to resolve their conflicts. Or they always need to come to mom or dad for something. Help them gain those skills to work it out themselves. And you'll also save time where you're not running into the room every however minutes because you're trying to break it up. I'll touch on the other ones real quick. Cooking all the meals. You might be the best cook and you might actually enjoy it. That is the truth for me. But you don't need to cook every single meal. And maybe if you know your week ahead is going to be busy, those meal delivery kits might be amazing. It's just a matter of thinking ahead, freeing up your time, and making sure you know you have a plan for those times. Or maybe it's letting your kids pitch in. I loved when my kids pitched in during the pandemic to cook meals because they had those skills. And I think that is really, really important too. If you haven't heard me talk about kids cooking skills, I think it's huge. And Katie Kimball talked about that in my summit as well. There's so many things that I'm talking about in this challenge that have been talked about in the summit as well, because I think those people are amazing for a reason. I have learned these things from people for a reason. Are those meals going to necessarily be the most amazing things ever, the way that you would have done it? No. And that's okay. Let it go. Let whoever is in charge of the meal cook it, own it, and just appreciate it. It's going to be different, and that's okay. You just got time back from cooking and all that stuff. And you had someone else build those skills if they didn't have them already. Another thing that's part of cooking, grocery shopping. I love Instacart. I love Saywe. They deliver Saywe does Asian deliveries. And so I love that service. All these things save me time from going to the grocery store. I actually like going to the grocery store, but it takes a lot of time that I might not have. And so those things are lifesavers for me, things that I'm willing to pay extra for, willing to pay tip for, all that kind of stuff to just have it delivered to my door. And for Costco, it actually saves me money because I'm not buying that other thing, that other thing, that other thing that I would be buying if I stepped into that store. So there are things that you can do to get help and gain your time back. So I want you to be aware of those things and think about what those things might be that you need to let go and either ask for help, outsource, figure that out. Because making time for yourself and the things that you prioritize are so important. And I don't think I need to go through this in detail, but that last point is feeling guilty taking time for you. Stop it. You should not feel guilty taking time for you because everybody reaps the benefits of that. Second thing I'm going to talk about is I'm a planner. I like to plan things on Sunday. So look at your calendar. Do you plan? Because you should. You should look at your calendar, figure out all the commitments that you have, all the things that you might potentially need to move around because you have a conflict, or where can you bunch things together to be more efficient with your time? Can you go to the grocery store and drop off your kid at the same time? Not the same time, but on the way of one to the other. Can you do a school drop off, grocery store, work, and then something else? I don't know. Where can you bunch those things together? And I also want you to notice if you planned out your things for me time, like what do you want to do? If it's a walk, can you fit in your walk somewhere? So if you're picking up your kid, can you show up a little early, take a walk so you get a good parking spot too? Take a walk and have your me time there? Can you think outside the box? Or can you bring your notebook if you know you're going to be sitting in a pickup line? Or if you know you're going to have time between one place and another, maybe for me, it's like getting off of work and picking my kids up from Japanese school. I have some time there. Can you take a journal to write your joys? Or can you download your audiobook so that you can listen while you walk? I want you to be aware of things that you can plan in and have your me time there. I also like to prep food things on the weekend. So all the veggies get cut up, roasted, big batch of waffles for breakfast for the kids, whatever it is, lunch for Monday. As much of the things that we need to prepare for the week get done. And the whole family helps. And it makes the week go a heck of a lot easier. So I want you to look at the schedule, especially on those super packed busy days. How can you alleviate things? How can you be more efficient with your time so that you're not crunched, but you can bunch things together so you're getting all the things done that you need to without the multiple things like, oh, I forgot this, or oh, I should have done that when I was out. We are inefficient with a lot of our time. Taking some time to plan on Sunday or whatever that day is for you goes a heck of a long way. So those are my things for you today. That's my challenge. When you say you don't have time, I challenge that. You do. You just have to be able to see it and make time for it. Plan ahead, friends. So, just to recap, the first thing I want you to do, look at that stop doing this checklist, find one thing, do it, commit, tell us what it is, and do it. Take action, friends. Second thing, look at your calendar, see where you can be more efficient, see where you can plop in your me time, and actually put it in. If you didn't calendar it in yesterday, today is the day. You figured out what your me time was going to be. Now schedule it out for the rest of the week and stick to it. Commit. Be an action taker. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how to get the rest of your family on board with all of this. Aren't you excited for that? I know I am. I'll see you tomorrow.